Yes, I just wanted to, you know, ask everyone for a few minutes just to think about what it means to be a citizen and yet a citizen who gives of themselves over and over again in our community. And recently, late last week, Ed Bates passed away. And Ed was a longtime volunteer in our community. He was served on the select board from 1982 to 1987. At some pretty significant times. I believe that was when he was on the Charter Review Commission. We went to a town manager. I'm sure Mike's pleased about that. Most of
Sometimes.
the time anyways, right, Mike? And he did several other things through his years in Ashland. He was, like I said, the Charter Review Commission. He was on the renovation for the current police station it isn't current now on Main Street. He represented Ashland in the region as the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Um, and most recently, uh, he was instrumental in the roundabout on Route 126. And I know that one of his sons, Wayne, wrote a note to Joe and I last night, and he said, in the family, they joked that if the roundabout causes a lot of problems, then Ed will be famous for it. But if it doesn't, if things go smoothly, he won't be famous for it. And I think he's not famous for that, but certainly he did so much for our community. What's a committed volunteer. I have to say that I had always thought that he was born and bred here because he was so committed to Ashland. I know that he loved this community, and it showed by the many ways that he volunteered to support the community. So he was 90 years old, and he's left a family, some grandchildren here and some children here. And what a certainly, a fine role model he is for all of them. And so I just want to thank him and offer my sympathies to his family. And just again, the world is a better place because of he has been here in Ashland. Ashland is a better place.
Claudia, thank you so much for those kind words. Yes, it's funny, I'm not funny, but I'm looking at his obituary, the advantage of being at home, and the pictures of him smiling, and he always had a smile and a good word to say, and was a true volunteer and really gave back to Ashland in so many things. So thank you for all those kind words, and I also add my condolences to his family. And everyone in Ashland who has known him or his family should do the same.
Let me just give one plug now, excuse
Uh-oh.
me, for the roundabout, because, after I became a member, or when the roundabout was being built, I started reading up a little bit about it and roundabouts and why they're important. And I told Wayne, I said, I've found out quite a bit about roundabouts, that they reduce the number of points of conflict that one might have in an intersection. It keeps traffic moving, and it moves it at an angle that keeps everybody moving slowly. So it increases the number of vehicles that it can handle, many more than what you would handle with a stop sign or traffic lights. And so I thank him for that. I not only do I use that roundabout sometimes, but I also you see them all over the place now, and
Yeah.
I understand why. So
It's
thank you.
definitely been used more and more in different places to make traffic keep flowing. Great. Yeah, it's amazing what you learn when you sit on the select board, Claudia.
Yeah. Who knew?
Great. Okay, moving on. We're going to go to citizens participation. Mark DeSoni, I see you have your hand raised. We will unmute you. And again, you won't be on camera, but Mark, once you see that the red light is gone from your microphone, you can go ahead and start speaking.
Okay, yes. Good evening, Mark Sony, 119 Main Street. Start off with thank you, Claudia, for bringing up the Miss Bates did pass away. He was one of those friendly people that you can come up to, talk to, and he'd be very sociable and great sense of humor to talk about. And his family is a good example of what Ashland was at the time. The Bates gang was a great area to be around the high school with when you see the sons playing. Because he always attends every game, and he always been a good Ashland father select board person when he was on. Okay, that is that. Now, through the chairman to the town manager. Can I go talk to him?
Sure. Well, go ahead and ask what you have to ask Mark, and we'll determine if we can have him answer it.
There is a comprehensive plan committee tomorrow night, meeting tomorrow night.
Correct.
The talk we had a couple of weeks ago is now, that's coming, that should be going to the comprehensive plan, hopefully, yes or no.
Mark, I'm not sure if that'll be discussed tomorrow night, but did you have the conversations I suggested with the people I suggested you have a conversation with first?
It was when I came into you with my piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
that idea. I talked to the planning board. I talked to last night to the sustainability committee people.
Good.
So I'm getting my word out there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's a pretty specific agenda tomorrow night. So so I don't want to promise that it would be discussed, but obviously they're open meeting, Mark. They're open meetings, Mark. So
Yeah. And I do have the agenda. Just wanted to make sure. Is it gonna be like this meeting tonight, or can it be attended at the library?
It can be attended at the library.
Thank you. So I can come in and sit and doing the last 10, 15 minutes where the citizens can talk, then I could ask that question, couldn't I? If it comes up.
I don't know what your question is, so yeah, I would say if you feel, if you'd like to attend, please attend. And if your question is relevant to the discussion, then yes, you will during citizen participation have the opportunity to ask it.
Yeah, I'm still pushing up my agenda that I have in mind, and everything's gonna happen at the town meeting, which is in May. There's a lot going on at the town meeting.
There is.
Especially the change in the bylaws and the ADDU housing and stuff like that was talked about in the planning board, that I was actively involved, getting my 1 to 2 cents in. So I'm just making sure that it's not, what I brought up is not gonna be put off to the side. And it's gonna be, go.
Like I said, Mark, I think, come to the meeting and you can certainly present your question or concerns, and then it'll be determined how it can be used or moving forward.
Okay, so then the very last thing would be, Mr. Town Manager, don't lose my idea. I still am only a 3-minute walk away.
that is so true, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. If there is anyone else who would like to do citizens participation, right now is the opportunity. We'll see if there's other things that we talk about where we'll ask for input. Seeing none, we are still waiting on one of our board members, but I know she was having some technical difficulties. So we are going to continue moving forward. I see we have our economic development team who is going to be presenting our communication plan with Michael. So if it's okay with you, let's start a little early. Michael, I don't know if you're starting or if Beth and...
Sure, I'll just give a real brief intro.
Okay.
So I'd like to obviously introduce everyone to Beth Reynolds, and everybody actually knows Beth, so no introduction is needed. But not everybody in the community knows Jordan Linden, who is our communications coordinator, and has been with us for several months now. Jordan has done a very, very, very good job just with our communications overall and events. She got started right at the tail end of event season, so she didn't necessarily have a chance to show her talents in that arena, but we are quickly getting back to the beginning of event season, as we could tell with today's weather. So we'll be excited to see her in that capacity. But indeed, she has been working a lot on our communications. If you've seen kind of a little change in tone in our social media or like our Facebook or our Facebook account specifically, she's been a big part of that. If you have seen us use Instagram and now TikTok more than in the past, you can thank her for that, especially TikTok. I was took a lot to sell me on that idea, but she was pretty relentless, and quite frankly, it's been amazing. But as we have talked about before, they were tasked with working and developing a communications plan and for the community, or for the town, I should say. And they've been hard at work on that, and we've gone through a couple of different drafts internally. And at this point, I'll turn it over to them and let them run through that plan with you and have a discussion and answer any questions you might have.
Great.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for letting us present our communications plan. Jordan's been hard at work at this. I'm gonna kind of let her take the floor, but just to sort of before we get into it, just want to make sure that when you're looking at this, we're really trying to make sure that there's a solid plan so that, if there are changes or if anything were to happen to anyone, we know what the plan is. So somebody could come in and just really pick up where somebody left off to really keep the town going, because communications is vital. That's what I started with here 9 years ago. I was like, we need to really work on our communications. There was a huge gap, and we've worked really hard over the years to fill that. And I feel like this communications plan is just going to move us forward even more to keep us on track. It's a good plan to go back to just to make sure we are staying on track and doing what the community needs. So I am going to share my screen and Jordan is just going to kind of talk about some of the key points of this plan, and then open it up to you for questions. So is that okay?
Yes, please go. Keep going.
Terrific.
Okay, awesome.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I, like Beth said, created some highlights from the communications plan. If you have it in front of you, it's pretty lengthy, so I wanted to target a few things that we're excited to get started on, or we really want to focus on to make our communications better. Starting off with target audiences and content. This was something that in a iteration of a communications plan that I found from the past wasn't really spoken about, and I think it'll be important going forward. So I'll just run through some of what's on the communications plan, but Facebook's general population will be 25 to 34. So our main goal there is to get critical information, meeting posts, events and graphics out there, versus Instagram, where we've been posting the same things on both platforms. The demographic actually drops to 18 to 24. And we find that on Instagram specifically, the photos, less critical information, and even short form videos, which we haven't fully dove into yet, do better. And that's what Instagram is made for, is those more personal, kind of human posts instead of the, oh, there's a meeting today posts like Facebook. Like Michael said, we just started with the TikTok. That is 18 to 24 is the largest demographic with significant usage in mid-20s. So my fellow mid-20-year-olds are looking there for news, entertainment, just about everything we go to TikTok for. So my goal specifically with TikTok was to engage a younger audience, young adults. The high schoolers here have really taken a liking to the TikTok so far. So I'm hoping to be able to get some information out on there, but mostly to engage and educate people that might not be super familiar with municipal government or the inner workings of a town, just keep it more fun and lighthearted there. We don't have recent usage on X, or previously known as Twitter, but age 25 to 34 there. Like I said, we haven't posted on there in a while. It's kind of, in my opinion, a dying platform, so we can't fully predict the target audience and content type for what we would use it for. YouTube, again, we don't post regularly on our YouTube, but 18 to 34 is the largest user demographic, which would be simply for long form videos, where we have 2 other platforms that we can put short form videos. YouTube would be best for those long form. And then lastly, LinkedIn, which again is one of our platforms that we haven't fully dove into yet. Young adults and adults aged 25 to 34 is the largest user demographic. So press releases and official updates are best on that platform. Moving down to department roles, we thought it was important to highlight department roles in our communications plan, just so that whoever comes looking at the communications plan doesn't think that Beth and I just do everything for everyone, which would be a little much. But this one's a little hard to pinpoint in the communications plan because it's spread throughout every section, but a few of the things would be website, social media, publications, having specific assigned roles for management of website, management of social media. Unless people decide to assign them otherwise, we just put department heads because it's easier to say that they'll do that. And then if, like Beth has said, oh, Jordan, you're going to run the TikTok, then I know that that's my responsibility. But in general, it'll be to the department's discretion. Same with all of our printed media, Ashland Access, local town pages that we participate in. We open it up to departments, but it's not required that they do that. So it's, again, at their discretion. And then there are some other departments aside from the official Ashland social media that have their own platforms, like the library, the senior center, police and fire, Ashland Rec, Prevention and Human Services, and then the Corner Spot and Ashland Biz Buzz. So we wanted to put those in there to make sure we knew those were platforms that were being utilized by the town and run by departments. Next is emergency communications. So we have in the communications plan some main objectives like timely messages, clear and concise messaging during crisis, cross-posting updates on all channels where needed. And then we go into specifics talking about digital platforms, so monitoring social media, being proactive against misinformation and disinformation, collaborating with respective departments. Like if a road shuts down for a main water break, we're talking with DPW to make sure we're getting the most accurate information out for them. Code Red, which we've had to do a few in the last few weeks, to notify the residents of any emergency alerts or time-sensitive things. I think that's a program that we can utilize more for just need-to-know basis. I know I was a resident in Westboro, and I still get their notifications when it's a super hot day and they're going to have cooling stations. So stuff like that we'll try to utilize more than other tools like the LED boards and physical postings that could be utilized when necessary for events, road work, due dates, and then general updates as we see fit. And then because we're here talking to the select board, I figured I'd highlight the select board responsibilities. You'll see throughout the communications plan that Beth and I have a lot of our responsibilities listed out. And then, like I said, a lot of the responsibilities of the department heads and other departments, what they'll be doing. But especially in talking to other towns lately, we've realized how big of a role that the select board does play, especially in online communication. So we figured we'd lay it out here now, and I'll read it out just to remind everyone if you haven't read it yet. But each member should accurately represent the town and its mission across all communications channels, take a proactive approach to ensure respectful and fact-based conversation is occurring across communications channels, and reactively correcting misinformation across communications channels when needed, supporting the town's community outreach efforts by attending and promoting events, like some of you attended the pickleball ribbon cutting today, develop online presence to establish reliability and integrity with community members on social media. And lastly, support and foster an environment across all communications channels that welcomes discussion and participation without retaliation. I think that last sentence is kind of a common ground between all of our communications plan. We want to make sure that everyone that is getting our communications or engaging with us across different channels feel like they can talk to us and share their worries, share their concerns, share their praises, whatever it may be, and be taken seriously. But also, like I said a few times, we want to be able to be there to correct disinformation and misinformation where we can. So it's definitely a big work together moment. This communications plan is not just for Beth and I and Michael, it's for everyone that works for the town, to try to keep everyone in the loop, keep all of our practices out there. Like I said at the bottom, this is a resource. So we wanted to be able to provide all the practices for communications so that we can train someone or hold us all accountable for what we should be doing. And then, like Beth said, if there's an unexpected circumstance where somebody has to come in and learn how to do this, we want to have as much as we can in this communications plan for them to take it over. So that being said, if you have any comments or questions,
Share so we can
we'll
leave.
take them now.
Great. Well,
Full-on
thank
plan.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a very thorough thing. I do have to, I think I'm going to push back a little on your Facebook demographics. I mean, unless you did some reporting or something, I would say just and again, this is just based on my interactions and with my 30-year-old children. I'm going to say Facebook, you're hitting the probably 40 to 60-year-olds are on Facebook. So that's something to think about as you're creating things on Facebook. I think you're right about it. I mean, Instagram is certainly that 20 to 35-year-old. TikTok, who knows? It's definitely interesting. I'm going to open it up to the board. Questions, comments, just raise your hand so I know what order to put you guys in. Claudia, you've unmuted first, so I'll let you go first.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's a very thorough plan, and I certainly appreciate it. I think communication is always one of the biggest challenges, right? And certainly in the time that we live, things have changed so much in the past, I would say 25 years. And when you think about the fact that select board meetings, I mean, WACA-TV's there, but when I'm back in my early days on the school committee, there was a newspaper reporter in the room every day, and there was an article in the paper the next day, and it was really a really good way to communicate with people because people got a newspaper and read it. So now you have all these different media platforms, and it's really what do we use, right? How do we communicate? And so I appreciate the way you broke it out. I agree with Yolanda that probably a lot of older people are on Facebook. But I think I know a lot of people too that would fall into that older category, and they might be on Instagram. They might not be active themselves, but they read it, right? So they do. And the other thing I think there's kind of two things we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to inform our community, keep them informed, and we're also trying to engage people that otherwise haven't been engaged. And so I think that those are the two biggest challenges in my mind. It's a lot. And the other thing that the website is kind of a static thing, but it is someplace where people go to get information for, I need to, get my dog a tag. What do I do? I need something to do with trash. So, and I do think that the website plays an important role, but it isn't where people are probably going to go for the latest and greatest news. So in any case, I certainly am excited about this. I think that I know that sometimes, yeah, I want to be careful how I say this, but sometimes people who are negative might be posting on Facebook. So I think it's important that we're aware of what's being said on Facebook. So that does seem to be a place where negativity survives and thrives pretty well sometimes. So that's key. So I guess that's really just my only comments. I hope that I might like to sit with you someday, Jordan, and go over some of these things because I could use some freshening of some of my social media skills. And so I might be interested in doing that if you'd be interested in
Absolutely. We'll make you a star, Claudia.
all right, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Claudia. Joe, comments, questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if anybody can hear me or not.
We can.
Okay, great. Thank you. I apologize. I may be cutting out at some point during the meeting.
We
How's your
understand,
shoulder, Joe?
Yeah.
we need to find out about your shoulder.
Yeah.
How are you?
How are you feeling?
Well, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
A couple of setbacks over the last couple of days, but it's more than I anticipated, unfortunately. And the doctor was very pleased that it went through, and I definitely won't be pitching this year for the Red Sox, that's for sure. But it'll be a success. It's just going to be a long process. So
Ice is your friend, Joe. Ice is your friend.
believe me. I wish I had stock in ice right now because I wouldn't be Elon Musk because they wouldn't be burning my cars. But anyway, great presentation. I appreciate all the effort that you all put into this. I think it's very much needed, especially today. The demographics in town changes, and as that changes, we all look to have better communication with our peers, and no matter what age we are. And I think that this helped bridges some of the issues that we've had over in the past. So congratulations, great job, and I'm looking forward to using some of these as well. My shoulder's doing great. I want to thank everybody for the thoughts and prayers prior to my surgery last Wednesday, and yeah, I was in the hospital for 4 days. Little longer than anticipated, but
Yeah.
When things happen, they happen in droves, unfortunately, and everything went well, but it was just it was a long, tedious process,
Yep.
and 5 hours. So we're okay.
Good.
We're okay. It's just the body's going to take a little longer for it to heal.
Yep.
But we're doing well. And Claudia, I want to thank you for adding those great words about Mr. Ed Bates. I've known Ed a good portion of my life. I've coached his sons in baseball up at the high school, Wayne especially, and a great family. He bleeds Ashland blue. And I'm sorry to see him go, but yeah, 90 years old, God bless. It's just, it's a sentiment to everybody there and to his family and for his legacy in town. And you're right. I hope he doesn't become famous as a result of that, as Wayne would put it. But recognition for all the work that he's put into that, along with Paula Parker, from years past, who initiated and started that whole process with a lot of groups, a lot of people in that town, in that area. So, but thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll be back. It's just going to be a little longer than I thought. That's all.
Do
So,
what you need to, Joe. But you're here now, so
yeah,
when you
I'm
feel
here
like
now.
when
Yeah.
you can't sit any longer, just go ahead and
Okay.
and just step.
If you see me bail out, you know that I've reached
Not a problem.
my limit. So I
Okay.
appreciate that. But
Good.
thank you, Madam Chair, and thank board members. I appreciate all your concerns. It's been
Okay.
very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Brandy and/or Makita, who wants to jump in next about the communications plan, if anything? Brandy, go ahead.
So first of all, thank you guys. This was great. It's so good to see it kind of outlined in a real detailed way, and you guys have put a lot of work into this. So thank you for all of that. A couple of things that I wanted to just ask about, so did you guys do some digging into other towns and how what we do kind of compares to other communities as far as different types of communication and reach and things like that? I'm just kind of curious how we are against our other surrounding towns.
So I am pretty active on social media, looking at other towns, looking at other towns' websites, their like forms and their surveys and just seeing where we compare. I will say, to my knowledge, we are the only town in all of Massachusetts with a TikTok. So pat on the back for that, everybody. But I learn a lot from a lot of the other towns. I do notice that much like other towns, our photos do better with our community, just like posts where there's photos versus a graphic. So we've noticed that we're trying to implement more of those. Obviously, like a city like Framingham has a lot more engagement just because of, I think, the amount of people they have versus the amount of people we have kind of trickles over into how many followers they have. But we are gaining followers on every platform pretty steadily. And in just how many months have we had the TikTok? 2 months. We've got almost 500 followers, which is a lot for a town,
Wow.
especially when there's no other town doing it. So I'm proud of that, but I think we do things better graphic wise than some towns. And then, like I said, I'm learning a lot from looking at other towns and what they're doing. So trying to implement their best practices where we can.
We do follow a lot of other towns' newsletters as well, and our town manager newsletter is above and beyond anyone else's, in my opinion, that I get, the ones that I receive. They're very engaging. They're current. And I think they're consistent. So I do think we sort of really hit a home run on that one, and the feedback that we get on that is terrific. So yes, we do watch the other towns and communities. And we also do watch the social media feeds as well. So, yep, we are.
Yeah, if I just may interject just a bit, I think I think the team here is being entirely too modest in terms of some of the activity and the comparisons with other communities' Facebook accounts. I think if you go to other towns, social media pages, their Facebook page specifically, I'm referring to right now, you'll see like there's hardly any activity or any type of engagement going on, and there's hardly any postings. So our platform is at least, at least serving as a way to get communication out, and also not just get communication out, but encourage dialogue to some extent, which is something that you don't see. And then if you peel the layer back one more further, you'll start seeing is the reason they're not posting as many things is because they don't have as much to post about. So they don't have nearly as many events. I mean, the number of events that we do compared to other communities is just really phenomenal. But then like projects, sidewalk infrastructure projects, land purchases, things like that. So I think, it's a great testament to the work that we're doing as a community, and also what our team's doing in the communications.
So I agree. I absolutely agree. In fact, Beth, you mentioned the town manager newsletter. One of my notes that I had taken was I would kind of recommend maybe even putting into this communication plan how many subscribers you have to that, and sort of like a little bit of data just about how many people generally open these emails and click through and things like that, because I think part of the I don't want to say the power behind that, but I think the reach is pretty significant in town, and I think that's something that I think you should be very proud of, because the fact that not only do a lot of people receive it, but a lot of people read it every week, and it's something that people look forward to. So that's I think a huge thing that you should highlight on your communications plan.
Thank you. Yeah, we have about 5,000 followers on the, or people signed up for the newsletter. Our
Yeah.
click-through rate is nearly 60%, which is phenomenal for Constant Contact. And our click-through rate's about 13 to 15%, which is also like really high when in the Constant Contact world. So our numbers have been steady for so long and they keep climbing, which is great. But that's really great feedback. Thanks, Brandy.
Yeah, and again, I have to say, most of the other communities, they're only putting it out monthly. In our team, we're doing it weekly. But Brandy, I don't know if you've encountered this, but to be at like an MMA conference or something and have select board members from other towns come to you and say, "Oh, hey, I read your newsletter," and you're like, "Oh, wow, that's cool. You subscribe."
Always good when other people notice, right?
In other towns, yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. I did have a couple other quick questions. So the the social media part, when you had talked about correcting misinformation and things like that. So what is your process for responding to social media? Like, at what point do you would you turn off commenting or hide comments if there's some, sometimes people are respectful in their comments, and sometimes we know that they're not. And so what is your process for responding, and if you're looking to us to respond, are you looking to us to respond to the Ashland pages, or are you asking us specifically to respond to sort of out in the greater social media world? Just some clarification on that too.
So, Brandy, I think you're actually the perfect example of responding when it's necessary, like you did on our most recent, what was it? The post, somebody commented about the tri-board meeting and you went in there and you corrected the information immediately, or, pretty quickly. We tend not to definitely don't delete and tend not to hide or even turn off comments on our posts. And a lot of the times that we have responded to people's comments have been in those community boards.
We do have a policy though. So if any words, there are words that are tagged. So if anyone swears, those are hidden or immediately. So social media is part of open meeting law. So we do have to provide history if asked. So, but there is a policy on our website that states like if you do put slander on the site, then you can be actually blocked. That you get 3 tries and you're out. You get a letter. We've sent a couple letters home to people before.
And not necessarily part of this communication plan, but I know, Claudia's brought it up, Makita's brought it up, that we as a board sort of need to have either further this discussion or real quick now. Like Brandy, you're good at jumping on and posting things. And I think either maybe we want to check in with each other, because it would not be good if multiple people post, because that could potentially be open meeting law violations. Even if you're just putting out facts, if multiple members of the select board post on social media posts, that could get us into trouble. So, I'm happy letting you do that, but I don't know how other people feel. So maybe it's a conversation, or if there's subject matter or something. And again, might not be for tonight, but I think based on this communication plan and the new platforms and things like that, I think we have to, as part of the social media policy, determine how we're going to approach some of these things.
I think the faster that we can take out miscommunication or
Misinformation.
the better.
Okay.
I think that as long as we're all sort of talking together, or alerting someone or asking like, hey, I saw this on there, how should I respond? I think we sort of do that internally. Michael is our first go-to for that. So whatever way you can help us, that's fantastic.
Okay. So Mark, I see you have your hand up. We're not going to include public in this discussion right now. So hold on and we'll see where it goes as to whether or not we open it up to the public. Thank you. Brandy, what else did you have, or are you?
The one other thing that I wanted to see if could be included in it, because I know there was talk about sort of the signing up for the communications. I know you guys have a great one-page document that has like all the links to all the newsletters and all that stuff. I would also include maybe in this communications plan something about people can sign up to receive meeting agendas and meeting minutes and those kinds of notifications too, because I think that's part of the whole outreach to get people to be more engaged. So I know it's always a struggle to get people to attend meetings, and you guys do a great job of putting out posts about planning board meetings or select board meetings and things like that. But kind of there's been a lot more people that have moved into town in the last, say, 5 years, and they may not know that they can get those notifications either by email or by text of when these meetings are happening, so they can take a look at agendas and see if it's something that they want to attend. So that's my only.
Maybe that's a posting in Michael's next newsletter, right? To remind people, or a future newsletter.
That's
Okay.
something that we can definitely include in, I'll have to check our one pager, but we can definitely include it in the welcome packets that we send out to residents. I can double check and make sure it's on our communications page online. But as for like putting it in the communications plan for the community, like this plan, when I was writing it, wasn't necessarily community facing. So they're not going to go to this communications plan
Right.
to see where they can sign up for
Right.
newsletters.
That
But
makes
it's
sense.
definitely something we can make sure is out there and is being sent to new residents as well.
We do
Okay.
send it. We put it in the welcome packets too. For
Okay.
every new resident, they get a welcome packet.
Yep.
Renters and homeowners.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I
Makita?
think that's a great
Oh,
idea.
sorry.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Madam Chair. I think y'all have covered most of the things that I was going to ask about. The only thing that there are two things that I wanted to say, or just make sure that we didn't forget. The first piece is on across the board. I think we talked about newsletter performance analytics, but I'd like to see more information on KPIs for social. So, uniques, all the standard KPIs that you see on social. I think that's important to report on and for us to get an understanding of, so that when we try to craft strategically what's getting reach and how it's getting reach, we do it in the smartest and most efficient way possible. I would give that piece of advice. The second piece is, I was just looking over at the select board piece. I noticed that we included, we did include a town manager coffee as part of the outreach effort. We do have select board, office hours too, and I think we should put that in the plan as well if we're going to do in person or all channels. So that's something that we do, and I think we should make sure we highlight that. But I did want to congratulate you guys on a really great and thorough plan, and I'm really looking forward to sort of, expanding it and getting some more of the specific information like we talked about codified into it. And I think this is a really awesome start. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Good. Okay. Just one or two last things for me regarding the website. My question is, it talks about how each department is responsible for posting, and I get that it can't be one person, but who sets the tone for the website, right? Because I know I go to the website and sometimes there's not consistency in how things look or how things are posted. I mean, the number of complaints I get about the website, that it's hard to navigate. I mean, even just to get to the agenda for this, you have to go to the calendar and look for it there, and then you have to push on the select board meeting, and then you have to pick, so I know we did an overhaul of the website probably about 5 years ago, Brandy.
6 years ago.
Was it? I know it was when Brandy first came on, so because she was involved in it.
We're
So,
sort of tied a little bit to the website because Civic Plus is the website we use, and you can only do, like, we only have so much control because it
I
is
see.
a template. So it is a little frustrating in certain ways, and we don't have one specific person that is dedicated to the website. We are sort of
Yeah.
a team. We work very closely with IT. It's definitely doesn't lie in our department alone. And we rely on other departments for all of their information. Obviously, they need to keep it as current as possible with everything they
Right.
have going on in each department.
Who actually
So
does
it
the
is a
posting?
struggle, and we do have an opportunity now to look at a possible free upgrade. So we are working on that. It's just a different plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Claudia, what was your question?
I was just wondering who actually does the postings. Are there multiple people or?
Yeah, everybody has access to their own page.
Okay.
Every department head.
That's why I asked that about, if, because there's multiple people doing it, sometimes you can tell there's different personalities, which partly I get, but on the other hand, if I'm going to the website, I sort of want a feel for the whole thing.
If the
Yeah.
template locks us down from doing something we want to do, maybe one option might be to then have on that page that kind of doesn't do everything that we want it to do, have a link that takes us to, a Google page or a Google site, or, because, almost everything you can publish now. So it wouldn't, and it would be a more complex, activity than most of our departments would want to do, but I'm just thinking, it might be a way, if it was significant enough, it might be a way of breaking out of that template a little bit. The other thing that I would be interested in too is if we could look at, from particularly the town manager newsletter, and how many people on that are people who are voting, in other words. I'd like to be able to compare the people who are reading that and the people who vote. I think there's probably a pretty high correlation, right? And I just think going forward, some of this information about how voters are getting their information or might be apt to want to get their information is important. So I'm just thinking that might be something that we look at.
Claudia, those are good points. Just in terms, I just want to make a couple comments just about the consistency of things, because I think that's the word that we're looking for is, a consistency throughout the different pages of our webpage universe, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we have to work on, I've mentioned it before, are things just like simple file naming conventions, just having a standard one of those. So, you don't necessarily have, something that again is inconsistent. If you see a template for a planning board meeting and like a select board meeting is going to be in that same template, well, it's pretty easy to find in a variety of ways. And then just consistency in things like the text. I mean, just the guide should be, 12 point Times New Roman, whatever they're calling, fonts these days. So yeah, I think there's some small tweaks that we can also do that could make a big difference.
I think we can be forgiving about things not being consistent if our search features work well, right? I mean, ultimately, how many people go, I mean, I don't love clicking around on a website looking for something, right? So if there's a good, strong search engine there, if that's what I'm going to go to. And then I'm very forgiving then, right, about, because the world's not a linear world anymore. So, let me go to the search engine and let me search for and find it, because I think and I think that might be, I don't know, our search feature, I don't know if it's why it doesn't seem to work as well as I feel like it should, I'm not sure, is it?
Maybe it's because everything's not named in the same format.
Maybe, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
It's a product issue. But I'll agree with that, but I'll just kind of say what I think we're saying. I think I think the first thing for consistency, like you said, Michael, is it's really kind of more business process related, the stuff than actually like technology, except for the search feature. So I kind of feel like, yes, a style guide, like a very brief style, like a one pager, just about, like you said, like everything from like font presentation to also tone, like just a general style guide and some guidance for department heads, when they're, for posting, I think is a good idea and might actually help with the consistency. I think there may be an opportunity also for just more intra-departmental coordination and so far as posting and posting cadences, et cetera. But Beth, I will ask if we're up for an upgrade soon, I'd be curious to find out, what that upgrade consists of, because if it does feature like a more Google-based search or a better product search or some other technological tools that will make the UI UX experience for the website more palatable and useful for our residents, that might be something worth exploring. And if I think you said it might have been free, so that's even more.
Our IT director, Paul Carpenter, is looking into that now.
Yeah. So so Claudia, like that might be part of it. So, once they find out, we can find out.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Anybody else? Anything?
No, it was great. It's great. It was very thorough. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mark, if it's a quick question, I will allow you to unmute. But it needs to be a quick question, please, because we do need to move on. If we could unmute him.
Were you all
Thank you.
set now? Okay.
Yep, you're all set. Go ahead, Mark. Again,
Okay.
quick question about the communications plan.
First of all, it's a great extra step to understand the backgrounds and get the information out. Another thing is, I have gone through the town manager's, his manager's website there. And I've gone through everything. I have mastered our town website. It's no problem. It is simple to do. You just need the patience, you just need to know how to understand the background. This communication,
Patience is not my virtue, I can tell you.
I can almost tell, because you find out that typing is not my skill either. And
So
make sure
Mark,
you spell the words in the answer. But okay, I am so happy with this. This is like me getting through on the website to any board that has an email, and I get a response back.
that's great.
This is what I'm coming down to, is to ask through the chairman to Beth, who has my email, can you send me the welcome packet to this? Because I want to be hooked up on this.
Sure, no problem. You got it.
Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
it.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Jordan. It was great. First of all, it was great seeing you both in person this afternoon. This is a great plan. As you both said, there's still some tweaks and things, and as with anything, I think it's a living, breathing product as we look at things. And so, Jordan, what do you think? A select board TikTok dance? I mean, come on.
I am all here for that.
For the record,
heard
I
it
am
from
not
the
here for
chair.
that. I am not here for that. I just
Oh, come
put that
on,
in
we
the
can have fun
minutes.
with that. We can have fun with that.
Figure
Have
something
fun.
out.
We'll figure something out.
We'll
I'm
make it
there
up
for
in
you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you both. Okay, we're going to move on in our agenda. So the surplus disposal procurement policy is being pulled. Right, Diane and Jen? Yes?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes,
we're not doing that. We had an open meeting law complaint that was filed. And I believe we have a response in our packet. So Jen or Michael,
I
who
haven't
can,
seen that yet. Was that in?
it was in our updated packet that came at the end of the day that
Okay, let me pull it up.
that Diane sent. Yeah. And I didn't get to ask, did that other set of minutes get updated that Brandy commented on? No. Okay, so we'll pull
No.
those out of the consent. Michael, did you want to say something?
I just want to just clarify, is
Go ahead.
that not part of our open meeting law response?
I think there was conversation that it was, so we may need to,
Okay. So Brandy had indicated it still had incorrect information, and Brandy had, I
right,
can see the one section about the coaching piece.
okay.
And was that the one that you were referring to?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was incorrect what we had
Right.
discussed in exec session, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Are-
if, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can fix it and approve it for our next meeting.
Yeah, I can definitely make that change on that.
Right, though I believe we have to send the response to the open meeting law complaint.
We're talking
Right.
about two different things, so
No,
Michael's
I'm
talking about our
aware.
minutes. Oh,
Right,
okay.
he's talking
Yeah.
about the specific meeting minutes that had issues, but as he said, that one of the sets of meeting minutes is part of the open meeting law complaint and our response. But I think even without updating that one set of minutes and approving them today, we can review the response. So I'm going to do this. If you didn't get a chance to read the response that was in our packet, I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Don't usually do this, but I know it's important that we review this and vote this response tonight because we have to get it we have to respond to the state. So. Joe, did you get a chance to read the response, or? You're muted. You need to unmute. He can unmute himself, right, Jen?
He
Yeah,
should be able to, yeah.
as a co-host. Find that button, Joe. There you go.
I actually was rereading the,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, we're good.
Okay. Claudia, did you get the chance to read it? Or are you doing it now? You're doing it now. Okay. Makita, did you get a chance to read it, or are you reading now?
Now, do I have to vote on the response to this? Okay.
Yeah, and actually, while other people are reading, I was listening to something, I forget what, it was some training or something. So even if you were not present at a meeting, if you feel that, you can trust that the meeting minutes are accurate, you can vote to approve meeting minutes. So you can also vote, I mean, this letter,
But I wasn't
even though you weren't
part of
on
the
the board
body.
at the time,
Yeah,
but you are a current member of the body. So it's
right.
against the current select board.
Okay,
So you can review this and we can
okay,
all vote on this open meeting law
okay,
response,
okay.
right? And
I
you can
thought,
even vote, I mean, I don't know I think you abstained when we reviewed them all in exec session because you weren't there, so that's fine. But
right,
the letter is an open meeting law complaint against the current select board. So you should read it and make sure you're comfortable in that. I mean, if you feel
I
like you
thought-
want to abstain because it wasn't when you were on the board, that's fine
yeah.
too. But you
Um,
can vote it if you'd like.
It says that, I think this, okay, yeah, I guess I got a little confused because the last time I read the complaint, like there was like, yeah, they were just talking about the action and it threw me
Right.
off. Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
I just, I just don't feel like, I mean, I wasn't part of the body at the time, so
Yep.
I don't know if I don't know if I should say anything about this, so.
Yep, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Brandy,
I'm good.
you're good? Claudia, you good? Okay. Okay, if I could have a motion to accept the response to the open meeting law complaint as presented by town council.
So moved.
Second.
And second, thank you, Brandy, for the motion. Thank you, Joe, for the second. Any other discussion? Okay, we're gonna do roll call vote. Bennett,
Bennett, I.
Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Keegan,
Abstain.
abstain, and Greaves, aye. So that carries 401. Thank you all very much for that. Moving on. Town meeting update. Jen, I believe this is from you that we're gonna get this.
So town meeting update on the warrant. I'm just trying to, let me just pull up
Yep.
my draft. So we have a number of articles. I think we went quickly over it. I was hoping to have a draft, but we're sort of waiting. There's a number of bylaws that will be going through the planning process. And I wanted to make sure that I had, the correct language, because once we put that in the warrant, I get worried about version control. And so sort of waiting in the next couple week, 10 days, we'll have a good draft, I think. So we'll have Article 1, which is town reports. Article 2 will be the 26 budget. Article 3 will be transferred to the OPEB trust. I'm holding a spot for a possible transfer from the Special Education Stabilization Fund, and I think we'll have further conversations about that in our tri-board meetings. But I'm holding one just so we don't forget. We'll have the annual consent article that really focuses on grants, road contracts, contracts that we're allowed to enter into, easements, and then the revolving fund, I think, is the larger one of that. There's also an annual consent article for CPA that sort of outlines their appropriations and their payments that are scheduled for the next year. We'll have actually 3 CPA funding authorization article, one for the Ashland Arboretum for $500,000 to construct that park, which was the former site of Cadillac Paint. We will have $100,000 or $110,000 for historical preservation of records through our clerk's office. And then also additional funds for the dog park for $60,000, and that's really based on the bids that we received a few weeks ago, which I think we discussed at our last meeting. We're going to ask the town meeting to accept a local provision of the Mass General laws that allows our assessor just to sort of capture new growth throughout the entire year. And so this is an older act of Act of 89 that we had not accepted, and our new assessor said, in his previous towns, this was something that they had done and it was helpful. So we're going to ask for that. We will likely have 2 additional borrowing articles, and they're both on previous articles. So I believe it was last May, we had asked for authorization for $4 million for our water treatment plant for the ozone. Those estimates a year later are coming in probably $2 million higher than anticipated. And so we're looking at possibly increasing. I'm not sure if it'll be a new borrowing or an amendment to our previous authorization. And similarly, we had water main work that we authorized $1 million. And so this is a several year project. And so in terms of just being strategic about our borrowing, we're going to ask for additional borrowing authorization that would allow us to sort of really plan out for the next several years. And that way you don't have to borrow every year, but we're actually borrowing for the larger project because they had phased it out over 4 years, I think, when they presented that water capital plan to you all when you were talking about rates. Also, we'll be asking for phase 14 and 15 of the MWRA I&I program. So we do that, every other year about. And so 2 years ago in May, we had asked for that, and that allows us to do some work on our infrastructure. And then we get into the bylaws. So you had a presentation for establishing a local historic district, which has been presented to you. So that's in there. And then the planning board needs to do a small cleanup on their site plan review bylaw. And then they're doing the accessory dwelling unit that aligns with the state program. And then we have an update that's coming from the state and the federal government from FEMA. They had updated their floodplain, and that's just changing a couple of our tile in our maps. And so we're just updating that, and they are sort of standardizing that bylaw. So the planning board will be holding hearings for that in the next several weeks. And then we'll have that with their recommendation. And I believe that is it.
So I lost count. So about how many articles do we think?
I actually haven't had the numbers, but I think there's 17.
Okay. 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 And town meeting again is Wednesday,
May 7th.
May 7th. Okay. Great. Any questions, comments from the board on that? Claudia, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question about the water treatment facility. So the ozone piece of that we completed, didn't we?
The update for the ozone, the filter, no. So we did get we got authorization. We got a $4 million authorization, and they started the design and the engineering for that. And so we haven't actually implemented that.
Okay,
Yeah,
the filter itself, wasn't the filter itself like $1 million? Is that? No?
something
I
like
think
that.
it was,
We're talking about
yes,
the-
4
We're
million.
talking about the water. No, the whole project was 4 million, right? And I thought we were going to be completing that or starting it in this fall. Was there a delay or just timing or?
Well, they started with the engineering. They did get, so with that part of that 4 million was design and engineering. And so they've done all that, sort of working through that process. And they were, they're on the tail end of sort of going out to bid, which is why the estimates have changed a bit.
Okay.
And yeah, and part of that is sort of just when you're actually thinking about implementation, you want to make sure that we have some filtration throughout the process. And so it's using some other pieces of the plant that we hadn't really anticipated. That way there is no real disruption to service while we are doing the upgrade to the ozone.
Okay. Any other questions, Claudia?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I had a quick question about that.
Go
So
ahead.
maybe I'm not remembering the right project, and that's possible, but wasn't Hopkinton paying for part of that too? And we had authorized the 4 million, but we were only paying 3 million of it. Am I remembering it correctly?
They agreed, I believe, Michael, 25% of the, is it 20 or 25% of the project?
25%. And they were going to pay 1 million, and they had all the votes and everything.
Okay, so
Now, because, go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead,
just
Brandy.
gonna say, so we had authorized 4 million, we're gonna spend 3 million. Is Hopkinton gonna pay for 25% of whatever increased cost it would be?
That when I spoke to DPW, that is the assumption. They have to work that through because they did have to have a vote as well. And so, but that is they were thinking that they're paying 25% of the overall cost, and we were sort of using that 4 million as the number to figure out how much they were going to pay. And so, yeah.
So the plan is to authorize up to 2 million, even though 2 million more, even though we probably would only need a fraction of that because of the percentage that we'd have 1 million left over from Hopkinton from that original 4 million plus. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, so I think that if I remember correctly, when we had the conversation to do the authorization for the full 4 million was partly because it's going to be reimbursed. And so in order for us to sign the contract, we actually have authorization for all of it. Okay. And then Hopkinton reimburses us for the rest. And so again, I don't think we actually borrow for all of it. We have the authorization to borrow for all of it. And Michael, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's how I sort of remembered it.
Yeah, I believe you're right, because that is how the operational costs work. In terms of the billing is so we go ahead and pay, and then we go ahead and we invoice Hopkinton for their piece.
Okay.
And so do we do, so if we're saying we're authorizing up to 4 million, but we're not spending all that, or we're spending all that and then getting it back from Hopkinton, So do we have to borrow for the 4 million, and then do we take the money that we're getting from them and pay it down more quickly, or like if we've borrowed 4 million, I'd hate for us to get the million and apply it to something else and not apply it and then not pay down this bonding, or now the potential 6 million.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't think you'd be able to do that. I mean, just to get that through bond counsel that would not work.
Okay, so then I think
That's creative
m-
though.
well, maybe not, maybe this isn't the meeting, but it would be good to understand then, if we're authorizing 4 million and we bond the 4 million because we have to spend the 4 million, and then we get $1 million back to help pay for it, what happens with that $1 million? It can't just go to general fund. It should go someplace to be determined to use to pay down the bond, right?
I see what you're saying. I see.
Am I?
It's not that I really,
I understand it's
yeah.
not that straightforward. So again, maybe not for this meeting, but it's something that we should talk about, right? If we're bonding the full 4 million, but we're getting $1 million back, we need to figure out what to do with that, right? It's similar, I keep talking to Paul about the potential funds we're getting back from, for the building projects, right? The potential $3 million. Have we bonded everything that we've spent for the schools? And if so, what are we going to do with this $3 million? Right? So, but again, that could be another discussion. Okay. Okay. Any other questions regarding the articles for town meeting? Okay, seeing none, moving on. So we're getting into season for the town manager and town council evaluation process. As with a lot of things this year, the year flew, and Michael and I kept talking about it. Claudia and I kept talking about it, trying to create or get a new tool to evaluate Michael and to evaluate town council. It has not been done. So we are going to use the same tool that we've been using. And what I would say is we'll make sure it gets sent out to everybody. And so the process is everyone completes the town manager's evaluation. You then submit it to the town manager and review with him your evaluation. I then, as chair, take all those evaluations, compile them into one evaluation that then becomes our public. Then I review the compiled evaluation with Michael, and then that evaluation gets made public at a future meeting. I would like to recommend that we try to tie this up and do it no later than I think it's our only meeting in May. So that gives us about 2 months to get that done. So I'll work with Susan to get that evaluation form out. One thing is, after we do the evaluation, to move forward into next year, again, Claudia and I have been talking, and Michael and I have been talking, that for the next year, we're going to want to set like 5 goals for Michael. So that doesn't have to happen until in June, when we do our retreat or something like that, but just something to be thinking about. And then again, trying to find a different evaluation form. Questions, comments, concerns?
I just, last year, if you remember, I think we used we made it a digital version, and I think it was a
Yes.
lot easier to deal with, so I just
Yes.
want to, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that. So hopefully
So
we
I
can.
just want to make sure we use
Yep,
that again.
we will.
I think especially for you, it's going to be a lot
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. 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 So we'll have to get that and find the blank one and get that out to everybody. And Makita, if when you see it, you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Next up, liquor compliance seminar. This is happening on April 15th. Who wants to, Michael, you want to chat about that? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but.
If I've lost my backup
Oh,
here.
okay. I can talk us through.
Okay.
So for Claudia and Makita, Brandy and Joe, you've been aware about this. Joe, definitely. So there is, our police department puts on a liquor compliance seminar either every year or every other year for Ashland businesses that have liquor licenses. And we as select board are invited to participate in this, to sit and go through this training, especially as the people who sign off on liquor licenses. It's good to know some of these things. And it is happening on Tuesday, April 15th from 9 to 11 at the Public Safety Building, and the detail is in your packet. And they just ask that you RSVP to Officer Arujo before the 1st of April. So look at your calendars, decide if you can do this. I've done it, I think, once or twice. It's really informative. And as the group that votes and approves liquor licenses, especially with some of the stuff we do for summers, it's good to do. So,
Yeah. And Rob does a great job.
Yeah.
As you
yep,
can attest.
yep. Okay,
I have a question about it.
go ahead.
Thanks. So this training, is it kind of like tips training, or is it?
No, it's not.
It's not tips training. Tips is
Okay.
much more detailed. This is really
Okay.
just talking about some of the public policy, what you should consider as a store owner, as a business owner who's selling alcohol.
I see.
Joe,
Wait,
do you have
so
anything
do
else
store
to add?
owners attend? Is that who
Yes,
attends?
store owners, restaurants, or is it just, I forget if it's just store owners or restaurants, but
And are they mandated to attend like once a year, or is it just when they have new personnel?
uh,
That's a good question. I don't
don't
know that
know.
offhand, Claudia.
Just curious.
I
It's
don't.
so at least one representative, owner, manager, employee from each establishment holding a liquor license is expected to attend. And they receive a certificate.
Well, that's
So,
a driving factor.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. The flyers has a lot of info. So they,
Okay.
it doesn't look like it's mandatory, but they are expected. And I think they sort of track who has
Encouraged.
done it, and highly encouraged. Yes. Yes. So, okay. Next we have a review. I don't know that we need to, yes, we do need to approve this. So, from our town clerk, information on early voting and just voting totals. So, it talks about what our history has been. And, you can always tell when there's not as many contested races because there is not as many votes. So we have that information. Then she talks about, nope, those are minutes. So it has the dates and times. So the town election is on May 20th from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. No bylaw dictating the hours. Let's see, they're going to offer vote by mail and in-person early voting on Wednesday, May 14th from 8 to 7. So one opportunity for early voting, if you don't want to be voting on the 20th, is the Wednesday before. So we need to vote to approve the voting times and locations as presented by our town clerk. If I can get a motion.
So moved.
Randy, and a second?
Seconded.
Claudia, okay. And let's all unmute so we can do a roll call vote. Bennett? Just say aye. Okay, I got it. Kinsman,
Aye.
Keegan,
Aye.
Mignani. I saw your mouth go, Joe. You were muted, but that's okay.
I'm using extended screens and I had trouble getting my mouse back.
I've been there, done that.
Oh,
I can tell your agenda's off to one side and yeah. Good. Okay, so that vote passes. Please let the town clerk know. Okay. Let's see. Going on. Okay, sorry, got to put my reading glasses on. A little dark. Let's see. BAA grant and select board grant application process is now open and submissions are due by March 28th, 2025. Reminder that the Boston Marathon will take place on Monday, April 21st. This will temporarily impact crossings of Route 135 during the morning and early afternoons. Select Board Scholarship Opportunity is open to any graduating senior from Ashland. Applications are due by May 1st, 2025. And we have a number of volunteer opportunities. You can go look on the town website for those. Winter parking ban is still in effect until the end of March. And textile, clothing, and recycling, you need to go through simple recycling, and not on this, but there's still opportunity to pull papers and apply for items coming up on the town election in May. You have until the end of March to pull papers and get your signatures in. Okay. So moving on to the consent agenda. Brandy, remind me which date we need to pull off.
January 17th, 2024.
Okay. If I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented minus the exec session minutes for January 17th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
So moved in second, great. Roll call vote, Bennett,
I've got it turned on still.
wonderful.
Aye.
Kinsman,
Aye.
Keegan,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. Thank you. The consent agenda passes. Moving on, town manager report, review potential impact of federal funding changes. If there's any updates on that, Michael, and anything else you have to report.
Sure. So, thanks, Yolanda. Yeah, I've got this one agenda item and then actually, yeah, two more. So not too much more stability has emerged in the White House or up on Capitol Hill, and as such, there's just a lot of fear and trepidation, not just in the municipalities, but also at state governments nationwide as well. Maybe some states more so than others, I think it's fair to say. But I think probably a few weeks ago now, I sent you a couple of different resources that was continuously updated with executive orders and some of the impacts of those and where those stood in terms of litigation. So hopefully you received that. That continues to be updated. The problem is, I think, with in our current times, when you have something like litigation and a judge issues an order, generally that order is followed, usually without haste. And I don't think, like I said, in these times that's necessarily happening. So we can't necessarily depend on what has happened in the past to happen now and in the future in terms of the course of order. So that is that, except for one more thing, which I actually had as a separate item. But we did receive word, as has been alluded to earlier in the meeting, that we would be receiving that rebate check under the old Inflation Reduction Act, so about $3.3 million. And we hope to receive it in the next few weeks. But we have received word that the check was cut and, as they say, in the mail.
Now we just gotta wait to get it.
Yes.
Good. Okay, anything else, Michael?
Yeah, just a couple of other things. One unfortunate thing, and then one, let's just say, a celebratory thing. So, as many know, I think this is relatively older news now, but our finance director, Brittany Iacoponi, after 10 years, is going to leave service with the town and explore some different options. And you all know Brittany. You've seen her grow, and you've seen her just really kind of turn into the consummate finance professional that she is. Well regarded throughout the state, well-earned reputation as an excellent finance director. So, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity. She will be here for a little while longer now. At least we have her for a few more weeks. And I know many of you will want to extend your thanks and wish her luck in her future endeavors. So that is one piece. I am working with our current finance team, the remainder of our finance team, who they are also very talented and experienced individuals to make sure the budget's on track, make sure everything else is on track as well. And so I'm going to basically assess where everything is over the next few weeks and figure out a course of action there. So again, that's the unfortunate news. But I do want to end my comments tonight with a story about Ed Bates. Ed was one of the first people I met professionally in Ashland that did not work for the town. And he's getting a lot of credit for the roundabout, but you know what? Ed doesn't deserve credit for the roundabout. That was MassDOT. But what Ed does deserve credit for is actually the 126 project itself. If you go back and look at comprehensive plans from, I believe it's the 80s, 84, I think.
Like 83 or 84, yeah.
Exactly. You will see that the redevelopment of 126, basically exactly what we're talking about and what we're doing today, was in that plan. And guess who was sitting on the planning board and who I believe was our representative to MAPC at the time, but Mr. Ed Bates. So obviously I wasn't here in 1983 or 84. So how does this interaction happen? So those of you that were here when I started, remember that Tony Schiavi, the previous town manager, he wasn't able to start right away because he was finishing up his service with the Air Force. And so I was actually starting as his assistant before he was here full time. And 2 weeks into my time here, which was extremely interesting, Ed Bates and Steve Greenberg came to visit me, and they unrolled this plan, this 10% design for the whole 126 project. And Ed had negotiated with MassDOT and Steve that if we paid for the 25% design, MassDOT would pay for the 100% design and the construction of the project. That was a huge, huge commitment. And the first time that had happened, that MassDOT had made that commitment, which is now a standard.
Yeah.
And Ed and Steve were both like, we've got to figure out how to fund this project, this 25% design. I'm the new guy, of course. They say like fresh meat, he'll go for it. But it was really exciting, and Ed's excitement for it, even at as many years as he's been working on it, was contagious. And I said, okay, well, let's figure out a way to do this. And we ended up passing the meals tax. We proposed the meals tax and ended up having that pass at my first town meeting. And and so that put us on the road to where we are today. So Ed, thank you for everything that you've done. And Ed's whole family, Wayne volunteered for us. The MWRA connection, he was on the water policy committee that helped get that through. Wayne's sons both have worked at DPW and just excellent kids. I've gotten to know Finn, fairly well. So anyway, that's my very long Ed Bates story. But
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that, Michael. Yes, it's amazing when you go back and see what Ed did touch and support here in Ashland. So, okay. Anything else, Michael?
no, that's
Okay.
it.
Great. Let's go to board reports. Who wants to go first? We don't have to go in order because we're not sitting in the same spots. Or we could just do it the way we usually do it. Makita, go ahead.
Why not take this opportunity to break with tradition and have somebody else go? No, I'll go first. I'll go first. All right. Couple of things. First off, I was lucky enough to attend a nice forum that, well, I was not lucky. Well, I was very lucky to be able to attend a forum that we have on Saturday to get some feedback from current appointed committee members here in Ashland. Just a lot of great feedback, especially about how to drum up volunteerism here in town and communication and a few other things. Just I want to thank everybody who came out on kind of a dreary Saturday morning to voice their opinion and to try to strengthen our volunteer bench here in Ashland. So that was awesome. Couple of other things. I got a chance to attend one of the concerts in the spring concert season for the Ashland Music Association. And I heard an original composition, and I'm going to get the gentleman's name wrong, but Brett Abanyana, I think he had the students perform an original work entitled Ashland Woods, which was a musical depiction of a family walk through the Ashland State Forest here. There was also a middle schooler who shared his own original composition, sixth grader, and that was just amazing. So just beautiful work from to see there. And the concert series is continuing this spring. I strongly encourage residents to go check it out and go to the website, ashlandmusic.org, to find out when you can attend. And lastly, the Boy Scouts here in town are having their pancake breakfast on April 6th at the Ashland VFW. Please reach out and get tickets. I think there's a $35 cap per family. It's always a good time and a great deal, and I'm hoping to get there. So that's all I want to share tonight.
Great. Thank you, Makita. Claudia?
Thank you. I don't have too much to share. I attended this afternoon the ribbon cutting ceremony at the pickleball, Clocktown Pickleball. How can you not love something named with the name Clocktown in it, right?
Actually, it's Clock Tower.
Clocktown. Oh, jeez. Okay.
I said
Clock
Clock Town
Tower.
at least once. It's Clock Tower Pickle.
Yeah, well,
because
there is
they're
a
in
clock tower there,
There's
so okay.
2 clock towers in the building.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, in any case, it was it was a great little event, well attended. And again, it was amazing to think about how far that building has come. A couple of people talked a little bit about that, and and it really has been an amazing transformation. I do remember when it was a theater briefly,
Yeah.
and did attend some of the performances there, and I had forgotten all about that. But it really went into it had some tough days after that. So it's little hard to find your way around that building. If the corridors are simply amazing. But it's really just just so many different businesses there. I know there's a a science company there, biosurfaces. There's just a variety of businesses. So in any case, I just want to congratulate them again. And that was really, well, I'll let somebody else talk about Clover Road. All right. Thank you.
Good. Joe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I unfortunately missed all these wonderful events. It was my intention to at least be there, but I was there in spirit and not in body. So I'm thankful that it was well attended by those who went. I can't wait to start playing pickleball with a new shoulder and hopefully show you guys up. Let the
Ooh.
old guy take the field.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's a challenge. It's a challenge. But then again, I already took my medication, so I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But be it as it may. I'm just thankful that things are going well in town, and I hope everybody appreciates all the effort that everybody puts into it. I know I do. I appreciate everything that you folks do, what our town employees do. We also have a volunteer breakfast coming up pretty soon too, if I remember correctly.
Next Saturday, the 22nd.
Next Saturday, right?
Yep.
And hopefully I'll be able to attend that. It depends upon what the doctor says Friday, but we'll see. I miss you guys, but I appreciate all your thoughts and kind words. And so doesn't Donna.
Good.
Because she's going to need a vacation after this is over with, that's for damn sure. But I don't have anything else to report, other than I know that the Affordable Housing Trust will be meeting next week at some point to go over some things. And I know that shoveling ground at 487 Main Street is probably going to be in May, mid-May.
Okay.
So, which is good, and that'll be part of additional affordable housing unit to be in town. And Habitat for Humanity did a great job with it, and we look forward to working with them again in the future. So
Great.
that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you, and I
Thank you,
appreciate
Joe.
all your
Feel better.
support, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Brandy?
So Claudia mentioned Clover Road. They opened their doors Friday night, well, Friday afternoon. So it, congratulations to John and Jamie and the whole team there. It's a beautiful space. The patio is awesome. It's really a great addition to downtown, and I think it's going to be great for the rest of our businesses that are downtown as well. So, Dave and I went on Friday night and saw Yolanda and raised a glass with Beth too. And it felt really great. And it's funny, it's like when I walked in, it literally is like Ashland's little Cheers, because you walk in and I'm like, hey, I know you, I know everybody. So I think it's going to be that kind of a gathering spot. So we're lucky that they're here, and I'm glad their doors are finally open. So wish them lots of success. Last week we were also Yolanda, Claudia, and I were at the YMCA Marathon Breakfast, which is always a really good event to kind of kick off the marathon season, if you will. It was great to get an update on the regional YMCA and hear sort of where they are with the fundraising, and Yolanda's done a lot of great work with that. And it's gonna be a really beautiful space. I was talking to Peter Weisgarber today at Clock Tower Pickleball. I do it too. So, and it's exciting, and we can't wait until, the shovel's in the ground and we can actually start seeing some work being done over there. Couple other things we mentioned, we do have, Mark had mentioned we have a comprehensive plan meeting tomorrow night. We're going through all of our strategies, and so I'm anticipating kind of a real heavy working session, because we're going to finalize this list of what we want to try to accomplish in the next 10 years. So looking forward to getting through that, and sort of at that point, then we really start drafting this thing. So it's exciting, and we'll have more opportunities for public engagement and feedback. But this is a big milestone for us to get through these strategies. Also wanted to talk about the Student Council is having their pancake breakfast this upcoming Sunday, on the 23rd from 9 to 11:30 at the high school. So they're doing an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast too. So Makita, if you want some pancakes a little earlier than the Boy Scouts, you can go on over and get your fill. They do a great job too. So, and the only other thing I wanted to just let you guys know, so I've been in contact with Steve Mitchell and Jean Walker over at the Ashland Farmers Market to try to get some office hours for us for the summer. The Farmers Market has implemented a new online scheduling system, which is, I'm working through it. So it's not difficult, but it's like, I'm trying to put in some dates, some potential dates for us to be able to hold. And Jean's got to get back to me about like being able to do more than one date. So I'm hoping that they're going to be able to give us a few dates over the summer. But I just wanted to kind of, before I put in any specific dates that we're requesting, I wanted to just float a few by you and just make sure that there's not like any major issues with these dates. So I was thinking like June 21st, July 19th, and August 16th as potential dates. So not to like, just as sort of a pencil it in kind of thing, if that might work for you. Those are the dates that I'll probably float to the farmers market folks. So does that sound
I know
all right?
I can't do the June date, but I can do the July and August dates.
Okay.
So if other people could let Brandy know.
Yeah, that would be great.
Could you just say the dates again, please, Brandy?
Sure. June 21st.
Yeah.
July 19th. And August 16th.
Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to
My
avoid
time is
dates.
freed up on those dates anyway, so I'll definitely would be available.
Okay. Awesome. Great.
I'll email you, Brandy.
Okay.
I'll
Yep.
email you.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
And I think that's really all I've got. So, yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, you talked about the Metro West Y and Clover Road and Clocker Tower pickleball and the volunteer breakfast. So that's about it. No. I am attending the WeMo event on Friday where Catherine Clark will be speaking. If anyone else is going and if you want to carpool, let me know, but I will be heading over a little bit early. But it should be fun. It should be it's always a great event. Great to connect with other women elected municipal officials. So that's pretty much it. So if there is nothing else, our next select board meeting is the first Wednesday in April. I usually have the date in front of me. And that is going to be Wednesday, April 2nd is our next select board meeting. So in 2 weeks. If there is nothing else, if I could get a motion to adjourn before 9 o'clock, people, we did good.
So moved.
And the second,
Second.
okay, Bennett,
Aye.
Kinsman,
Aye.
Keegan,
Aye.
Magnani,
Aye.
and Greaves. Aye. Thank you all for being here. Thank you those who have watched this live and who have actually joined us in the Zoom. Our next meeting is Wednesday, April 2nd. It will be back at 7 o'clock, back in person at Town Hall. And thank you all again and have a great night. Stay safe and warm.